Hello everybody and welcome back to another video on the channel. Back with the tips again today. Let's just quickly go over last round. I got 7 out of 9 in round 17. The two I got wrong were Sydney here, as you can see, and the Crows. I thought we could get the win against Richmond after they got flogged the week before, but I guess not. And the Crows, they couldn't get the job done against Essendon. I thought they'd be able to get a win away from home finally after taking it up to Collingwood a couple weeks before that, but they got pantsed in the end. The 18-point scoreline flatters them really. So yeah, let's just get into my round 18 tips now. So starting things off here, we've got another Thursday night match for the Sydney Swans. We're coming up against the Bulldogs. It's going to be John Longmire's 300th game as coach. So I'm hoping we can get the job done for him. But we're actually favourites, believe it or not, going into this game according to the sports bet odds. But I don't understand why. Because I mean, just look at our ladder position. With bottom 4, the Bulldogs are in the top 8. Like I don't understand why we're favourites. We've been terrible, apart from that one game against West Coast where we were up against a bunch of training cones. We've just been terrible for the last like 10 weeks really. It's just yeah, I really don't understand why we're favourites going into this game, and I can't tip us to beat the Dogs, so I'm gonna go the Bulldogs by 29 points. Melbourne taking on Brisbane. It's 3rd versus 4th. Melbourne can't go up to 3rd because they're 2 games behind Brisbane. But it's at the MCG, and I probably will be tipping them. Christian Petrarca moved forward last week. He was very dangerous. He was the best on ground, if not, then probably second best on ground behind Stephen May with his 4 goals and 20 disposals. Brisbane, obviously the MCG is not a happy hunting ground for them, but they did beat Melbourne in a final here last year. So whether that plays anything into this, then I don't know. But I reckon I'm going to tip Melbourne in this one. They've been copping a lot of flack from the media lately, Melbourne, which I think is a little bit unjust, but oh well. Maybe it's deserved if they lose this game, but I'm going to be tipping them to win by 21 points. Collingwood taking on Fremantle now. This is a pretty easy one to tip, I would have thought. I can't see Fremantle really getting anywhere close to Collingwood here. I'll go Collingwood by 43 points. Fremantle, obviously, they got smashed by Carlton on their home deck. And Collingwood, well, they just keep on winning. Collingwood, they're by far and away, well, not by far and away the best team, but along with Port Adelaide, they are by far and away the best teams in the comp right now. First game with Stuart Dew sacked, this will be for the Gold Coast Suns. They really do need to win this game if they are any chance of making finals. I don't think they're a realistic chance of making finals. Their fixture is pretty tough for the rest of the season, and they're 7-9 now, so they've fallen behind a little bit. They're only half a win ahead of us, which is, yeah, that's not a good thing. That being said, teams quite often do win with their first game under new coaches. Didn't happen with Richmond. This is at Heritage Bank Stadium or Carrara. St Kilda are their bogey team though. I'm going to be tipping the Suns here to get the job done in a close one. I'll go by 5 points. St Kilda aren't looking to crash hot themselves despite still being in the top 8. But yeah, I think that the Suns will they'll break the curse and they'll win over their bogey team St Kilda. Carlton versus Port Adelaide. Carlton back into some reasonable form. Port Adelaide, they've been into some more than reasonable form for about a long time now. They've won, is it 12 or 13? I'm starting to lose count with how many games they've won in a row. And yeah, I can't see them getting the job done against Port Adelaide Carlton. I'm going to go Port Adelaide by 14 points, and this will set up a first versus second match next week with Port Adelaide taking on Collingwood at the Adelaide Oval. Cannot wait for that. Geelong taking on Essendon at GMHBA Stadium. Essendon, they don't come to Geelong very often. They played there for the first time in about 20 years a couple of years ago. So I would say it's not a happy hunting ground for them, but we actually don't really have the data over the last 20 years of whether it's a happy hunting ground for them or not. So it's at Geelong. I think Geelong, they're starting to build into the season a little bit. I'm gonna tip this one to be a very high scoring match, and I'll go, whoa, not that high scoring. And I'll go Geelong by 16 points. Adelaide versus GWS at the Adelaide Oval. Rory Sloane's 250th game. These teams already played earlier in the year in round 1, where GWS got the Chocolates by 16 points. Last two times these teams played at the Adelaide Oval, GWS absolutely smashed them. I don't think that'll be happening here. I'm going to be tipping the Crows, not with all the confidence in the world though, but for Rory Sloane's 250th, I think they'll get it done. And I'll tip them to win by 18 points. North Melbourne versus Hawthorn. This is probably one of the least interesting matchups of the round. I think that Hawthorn should get the job done over North Melbourne, who are terrible. Lost their last 14 games. People are starting to realise that despite the fact that they've got a few good young players, they're still terrible. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, every club has a few good young players. But, like, I've seen quite a lot of people like really hype them up, saying that they've got some of the best young talent in the league, and that there's nothing to worry about for North Melbourne. But there's not really that much there other than Wardlaw and Sheasel. Like, Paul Curtis is alright as well, but there's not a whole lot there. So I honestly I don't think they're in for a good time going into the future still, North Melbourne. And I can't see them winning this game. I reckon Hawthorn, they're still quite a bit of a better team than North Melbourne, and I'm going to tip them to win by 20 points. Final game of the round here. West Coast taking on Richmond. It's at Optus Stadium. We've seen West Coast be a little bit more competitive for the most part at Optus Stadium this year. So I'll tip Richmond by, I'll go by 37 points. I reckon West Coast will be competitive in this one, but Richmond should get the job done here. And with that is my ladder after round 20. Not round 20, round 18. I don't know where I got the 20 from. Collingwood, Port still on top, and they draw a game ahead of Brisbane, who I have losing to Melbourne, so they're 3 games ahead, both of them now. Bulldogs just 1 game outside the top 4. Adelaide back in the top 8. Essendon slip out. Geelong in the top 8. St Kilda down to 8th. They're slipping away slower. They're slipping away slowly. The Saints. Richmond, GWS still knocking on the door of the top 8. Gold Coast up to 12th. Carlton dropped down a couple of spots. Fremantle still hanging down there in 14th. And then the bottom 4 is, well, I won't say it's completely locked. I think we have the opportunity to go up to maybe 14th or 13th, but the bottom 3 is definitely locked. And yeah, if you did enjoy this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. Comment down your tips below, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.